Money, 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 money. I'm rolling in the money, 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 money. I get that fast money in a. I get that fast money in a. Money, 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 money. I'm rolling in the money, money, money.
Hello and welcome to a special fantasy playoff edition of Sharp Bets and Fantasy Sets. We're in week 14, ladies and gentlemen, which is absolutely insane. I know, you guys. It feels like just yesterday I was saying, "Oh, we're at week 5," and you guys booed me, and we're at week 10, and you guys fucking booed me, and now we're at week 14.
Ooh, you feel better now, sir?
That's what I was waiting for. I can't get the show started without until I get booed. So, guys, Sharp Bets and Fantasy Sets. My name is Nick Fiorentino. Alongside me, as always, are my two co-hosts. Chris Shaw. Chris, how we doing? I went in reverse order.
That's all right. Not too bad, my man. Not too bad. Yeah.
Good.
My boys let me down last night, but hey, it's all right.
They couldn't have done that 2 weeks ago, right? When I actually had the Rams.
Hey, but it helped you guys out because now you're not doing Hennessy this week, so it's all right.
Thank you, old boy. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And big time, what's going on?
All right.
We're good. We're COVID-free. All negative tests. We're back on the drinking path. Let's win some more money.
Good. Just in time for you to do 2 shots of Hennessy like you promised, sir, last week. So.
Yeah, well, we still don't have Hennessy at the sick household, so we will. But there will be a 1 week delay on that, old boy. My bad.
All right.
Yeah, it's just going to keep being delayed a week.
Yeah, double, the triples, the whole bottle chug. Let's go.
Guys, we got a jam-packed show, obviously, so we're going to get right into it. Sharp Bets and Fantasy Sets. You can find us SBFS Show on Twitter and Instagram. Our show will be out on Wednesday on YouTube under the TruExact Radio YouTube channel. And, of course, you can find us on iTunes on Thursday. We are going to be joined after we talk a little football by Ricky O'Donnell, the editor, NBA editor for SB Nation. We're going to be talking all things futures, whether it be MVP, championship, the whole nine, so we can get you kind of started in some NBA talk. But before we do that, we're going to kick it off. We're going to forego and we're going to just avoid the week that was week 13 because all it would be is me bitching about the fact that Carson Wentz is terrible. Adam Gase threw Greg Williams under the bus, and as Sir mentioned, got absolutely torched by Josh Allen. Pretty tough stuff.
Hey, but at least we have wins. Sorry, old boy. Your boys had one, and then Greg Williams was like, "Nah, fam. See, I don't want this. All out blitz on him."
Hey.
As Craig Carton would say, the martyr of the Jets. The Jets martyr.
Yeah, for this week. And then I don't know how just fuck me, right? I mean, as a Jets fan, just fuck me, right? I mean, technically, I'm actually happy. I don't care. Jets don't win a game all season. Force Trevor Lawrence to go back for his senior year, and if he does that, hope he tears his ACL and is never the same again. That's fine by me. What if he wants to be that kind of person? Don't come to New York, or come to New York and be the best thing since sliced bread. I don't care, but just pick one of the two. It doesn't bother me. Jets keep losing games. Fire Gase. Trade fucking Sam Darnold for a bag of peanuts. Like, that's fine. I'm content with being a Jets fan right now. I know what's going to happen.
I'll give you Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz for the number 1 overall pick.
No. Thank you, but no. I mean, you're still going to have to pay him regardless, but thank you, no.
Guys, Friday on the TruExact Show, you got beatmaker and producer Neff, or N-E-F, Neff. We go into his story from growing up in a small town in Rhode Island to sobriety at a young age. Also, we timeline his move from Rhode Island to New York and working with Static Selecta, along with his personal musical influences and how he goes about making the beats. And on Mark's side of the ring, myself, Miguel, and Fred will be doing our first wrestling draft. We will be drafting our favorite wrestling theme songs. So without going too far into it, guys, and I'm putting you on the spot, the greatest wrestling theme song of all time is, Tim, we'll start with you.
I mean, give me Hulk Hogan, Real American. Whenever you hear that song, you just get pumped up, get ready to go.
Sir?
Under the Sea.
Stone Cold Steve Austin. Because as soon as you hear that glass shatter, you knew something was about to happen.
It's not Under the Sea from The Little Mermaid. That's not your favorite theme.
Unfortunately, nobody hit the big time challenge, so Sir will not be singing Under the Sea.
No!
But he
Come
will
on,
be
guys.
singing,
We got to be better.
he will
we
be
gotta
singing
be better.
Never Had a Friend Like Me from Disney's Aladdin. Sir, take it away. Well, Alibaba had those 40 feet.
Nah, fam, that ain't
All right.
No, I don't want copyright infringement or anything happening. You know what I'm saying? Nah, we all right.
I don't think the giant mouse is watching our show, but you guys can see
Never
the
know.
graphic. You guys can see the graphic right now on our standings on primetime, thanks to Sky, our editor. We're starting it off with a Super Bowl 53 rematch where the Patriots beat the Rams 13-3. In Super Bowl 53, we're going to be New England plus 5.5 against the Rams with the over-under of 44.5. Before we do that, I did not forget.
Oh, now you want to remember, huh?
Well, it's Rumpelman, so it's like, it's not as bad.
Oh, it's good to be back. Oh, it's good to be back.
Never mind, warm, it's really bad.
Well,
Oh, you got to chill it, bro. You can't do it's warm.
That's horrible. All right, I'll start first.
Are you good?
For the same reason I say every week when I take Bill Belichick getting points, give me New England plus 5.5. Absolutely love getting points with Bill Belichick. I don't care who the quarterback is. Cam Newton doesn't need to play great when the defense shuts down the opposing teams. And who shut down the electric offense of the LA Rams better than Bill Belichick in Super Bowl 53 with the 13-3 win? And, of course, a few years ago, nevertheless, I'm taking New England plus 5.5. Sir, we'll start with you after me. What do you got?
Sir, I got bad news for you. I agree with what you said. Give me New England plus the points, and you know what? I'm gonna lean toward the under. Bill Belichick, he takes away he takes your star away, just like what he did last week. He took away Keenan Allen, and he made Herbert look pedestrian. You to me, I'm getting 5 points. Give me on a short week give me Belichick and the Patriots plus 5.5.
Belichick does this thing that's he'll compliment the shit out of a player early in the week. And it's best at that point just to sit that player if you have him in fantasy, because you absolutely know it's the kiss of death, and he is going to do everything in his power to make sure that that player is a non-factor. And Keenan Allen was an absolute non-factor in that game. They got absolutely torched in that game. I mean, it was just unbelievable. Tim, what do you got?
I can't really disagree with anything you guys are saying. I mean, the Rams, I know they don't make the schedule, but they beat up on bad teams. And the Patriots, although they're a bad team, mediocre, they're better than that. And they can keep it close with the run. All the Pats do is run the ball. The Rams, all they've done the past couple weeks have tried to run the ball, and they've done it to some success. But 5.5 is a lot of points. Give me the points, and give me under 44.5 is what I had it at. So I'll take under 44.
What are they, 6? They're 6-6, right? The Pats?
Yes.
They're not that bad.
They're mediocre.
Yeah. We're going to Sunday Night Football, and we have Pittsburgh plus 2.5 points against Buffalo, over under a 46.5, and I get it. I get that they just lost to the 4-7 Washington football team. I'm not ready to take another team, especially Buffalo, where they could be so up and down and so shaky. It looks like James Conner's coming back in the game. They're not going to win a lot of games when Ben's throwing the ball 50 fucking times. I mean, they got to run an offense that's more balanced. It seems like Ben will get frustrated with the run early on and just fucking throw the ball the whole time. And Ben's running his offense. He's doing what he wants. But he's not a quarterback that you can have throwing the ball 50 times. I think with James Conner coming back, they'll establish the run early. Buffalo's a great team. I'm not taking anything away from them. but I'm getting a team that 3 days ago, 2 days ago, even 24 hours ago at this point, was undefeated. And I'm getting points with them, 2.5. Even if it's 2.5, I'm taking Pittsburgh. There's no weather element that can happen in Buffalo that Pittsburgh, PA, wouldn't be ready for. So I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers plus 2.5. And again, I like the under in this game. Tim, we'll go in reverse order. What do you got?
Yeah, no problem. Give me Pittsburgh getting 2.5. Everyone's entitled to a bad game. They weren't going to go undefeated. But with that being said, now it gives them something to strive for. They don't have the number 1 seed overall, or even if they do, they're still, but they're tied now. One more loss, they're not the number 1 seed anymore, and the number 1 seed is everything to fight for this year. Seeing as only one team gets a bye, Buffalo's coming off of a good game against San Fran, but Pittsburgh's got the better offense. Pittsburgh's got the better defense. And, in a game where the offenses are similar in total points, give me the better defense, and that's Pittsburgh. And,
That's a good point.
No, give me the over 46.5.
The reason, as you alluded to earlier, Pittsburgh's still the number 1 seed is because their loss came to a team out of conference, whereas Kansas City's loss came to a team in conference.
Understood.
To stupid-ass Vegas Raiders, and almost lost to them a second time, and then almost lost to Denver. So, if it wasn't for him being a dumb fuck, they probably would have lost.
The Jets almost beat the Raiders, so that technically means the Jets almost beat KC. Maybe we're not on that off as we thought. Yeah, third degree.
I like what you're putting down there. Sir, what do you got in this game?
Mr. E, a loyal viewer and a guest on the show before in the past. Sorry, old boy, but I gotta go Buffalo minus 2.5. Pittsburgh didn't look that great against a Lamar Jackson-less Ravens. They didn't really look that great against the football team. This will be their 3rd game in 12 days. I gotta go Buffalo minus 2.5 at the crib, And I like the over at 46.5. I like the over.
No, I have a feeling that Tim and I are going to be aligned in the last game, so that means we're rooting for Pittsburgh to not do Hennessy next week.
Hey, I'm already doing Hennessy next week, so might as well just.
I don't have to do Hennessy.
Well, you're doing a double, so you might be doing a triple.
That's fine. As long as I only have to do it once, fuck Hennessy, sir.
Tune in next week to watch Tim die on. Wouldn't be live TV because this is next day, but. So we decided, since there's no Monday Night Line, given the fact that the Ravens are playing right now currently as we're shooting this, we decided to do something different and add a primetime game in as just a regular game, but we're going to put it in with the 3 primetime games, and that's the Cards laying 2.5 against the Giants, the first-place Giants. And really, it's a 2-team race at this point. We had CeeLo on 2 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, maybe at this point. He was high on the Giants. You had Sir and Tim break down that they thought Washington football team had a real good shot at it. I had picked Dallas given the fact that, I thought their schedule was the easiest, but clearly it looks like it's a 2-team race at this point, and it's going to be between Washington and the G-Men. So very quickly, not breaking down too much, if this is deal or no deal, do you want to hold on to that briefcase, or do you want the briefcase that's up here? You staying with your Washington pick, or you taking the Giants?
I'm absolutely staying with Washington.
Okay.
I'm not. Listen, the Giants have looked better than anyone could expect, even fucking Giants fans. So don't let them fucking confuse you, because they're talking about Super Bowl now, which is just fucking crazy. But they're playing good football. I mean, they haven't played outside of Seattle, who they beat. They haven't played good teams and beaten them. But
you beat us on the schedule, bro.
It's what have you done for me lately? And lately the Giants have been pretty fucking good.
I'm not going to sit here and say Super Bowl because I'm realistic, and they were talking about a team that almost was a shoestring tackle away from losing to the Bengals on a punt return. But I'll say this, in terms of everybody in the NFC, there's nobody in the NFC coming off a win against Seattle that makes me think like, oh, the Giants can't beat them. I'm not saying they're going to the Super Bowl. I would love for them to go to the Super Bowl because I have a ton of futures on them, but there's nobody, whether it be Green Bay, whether it be, what's Green Bay's biggest weakness? Their run defense sucks. Well, Gallman's playing phenomenal. We saw what he did. He was shut down almost in the first half of that game against Seattle and then turned it on in the second half of the game and played great. They established the run early.
Yeah, but man, Freddie Morris was looking pretty good too.
Yeah.
Freddie Morris sighting. I haven't seen him in years, but he seems like he's doing all right with himself.
Neither is anyone else, sir. The motherfucker just appeared out of nowhere, running for fucking 2 touchdowns and shit.
You know what I'm saying?
Feels like just yesterday we were talking about Devontae Freeman, and he's now obviously he's done, but they didn't even need him. Like, just run with Gallman. Gallman looks like he's running with a chip on his shoulder, and just further proves that Saquon Barkley pick was not necessary or needed at all. But
I don't think there's any early fantasy, NFL draft. No reason to draft a running back early ever.
Nah. No, there's not. I'll start on here. I'm gonna take the Cards in a letdown game for the Giants, and I just think would it shock me if the Giants won? No, it wouldn't shock me if the Giants won. I do think I would bet the over in this game. I don't know if Daniel Jones is playing. If he is playing, I don't think it changes my points at all. I think I'm still taking the Cardinals laying 2.5 in this game. I think they will win by a field goal, somewhere between 3 to 6 points. They score a ton of points. I mean, they are an electric offense. Do I think they're the best team in the league? No, I don't think they're a very good team. But I do think that their offense is elite level, and now you have Bradbury going up yet again, an elite wide receiver in Nuke Hopkins. I'm going to take the Cardinals, and I'm going to take the over. Tim, what do you got?
I'm the exact same as you. Like you thought.
I thought so.
Would happen. So Bradbury is a very good cornerback, but Nuke Hopkins is a different wide receiver. I don't care who he's faced before. I don't think there is a cornerback in the world that can cover Nuke Hopkins. The only thing that scares me is Arizona's special teams, especially their kicking, has been in close games has been fucking putrid. Zane Gonzalez has missed more game-winning fucking field goals than all the other kickers in the league combined. It feels like every time that there's a close game where he has a chance to win it, he just hasn't. That's the literally only thing that scares me. The only other note it says fuck New York Giants. Oh, so I guess I really couldn't, regardless of how big of a compliment I gave them for beating Seattle, which we all thought the game could be pretty close. Talking on and off air, but I'll definitely take Arizona getting the points if Daniel Jones plays. That line goes down. It might be a fucking pick 'em if you tell me that Daniel Jones is playing, and which means definitely give me Arizona. But I'll take Arizona laying 2.5 right now. And would you have the over under at 45 or 46?
45.5.
45.5. Yeah, I'll take the over. Both of those teams can score in the mid-20s easily. You're way over them.
Sir?
Man, I think hell has frozen over. Give me the Giants. The Giants have honestly, Kyler Murray is not 100%. Like he's been a different quarterback since he got hurt banged up. Like he's not playing the same football. Like you don't really have to fear his running ability. Yes, you have Hopkins, but the Giants defense have been getting after it. Like I think they have double digit 2 more sacks every game all season. They've been getting picks. Bradbury's been locking people down. Like, you know what? I got to tip my hat up. Joe Judge has the boys playing hard, man. Like, you got to tip your hat up.
They got a chance to win the division. No, there's no reason for them not to be playing hard.
Yeah,
my boy Leonard Williams, JT.
Absolutely. Yeah. He leaves the Jets, goes to the other side, and starts playing like a top pick in the draft.
Well, but it's all coaching. I mean, Todd Bowles was terrible.
Absolutely. No, I mean,
you go to a team that's well coached, and this is what happens. And I try to be as fair and as unbiased as possible doing this. I obviously am an Eagles fan. I don't like saying anything positive about any of the three teams, but I can look at the Giants as a team that just does things the right way and have had two terrible coaches in a row, and now, they get Joe Judge, who's been great. I mean, you looked at some of the stuff he did early, it almost reminded you of, remember the Titans with, the running a mile. Oh, you're running, you make a mistake, you run. You make a mistake, you run. And, what his discipline has been towards Golden Tate and some of the other players that he's had to discipline or firing the offensive line coach and all of the things that he's doing. He seems like he's a true leader, and they're in good shape, man. They're going to be a good team for a while.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, coaching matters. I've seen it with my own team. When there was years when they had the Chip Kellys and the Jim Tomsuls, and they were awful. They bring in a coach, and what I'm saying, they've been doing well. So coaching matters in this league.
What is a coach?
Yeah, he's a guy who we'll talk about it later on.
Absolutely horrible. So there you have it for our primetime picks. We'll jump over into DFS fantasy. You may be out of your season-long fantasy pick or your fantasy league, but we'll help you with some DFS picks. I'll say this: Sunday morning, tweet us at SBFS Show. Any questions you have on any playoff picks, sit starts, anything like that, we'll try to be as active as possible in helping you out on who to sit, who to start in some of your fantasy leagues going into what is the first round of the playoffs. So for DFS, again, I'll start with mine. I will submit mine this week. I did not
won't.
Wait a minute. First, so I don't want to hear from you either. Both of you audience submit one this week.
Yeah, okay. All right. So I didn't.
I totally forgot.
But I will tell you what. If you listen to anything that I said regarding DFS last week, you might have made a lot of money because I had Derek Carr, Darren Waller.
If you had Derek Carr and Darren Waller, then you probably did.
Top to bottom, Justin Jefferson scored. Mims and Kuti each had yardage games. Dalvin Cook scored. Cam Akers scored. The Lions.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know what it is, but if you had entered that lineup into a high dollar league, you might have won money.
I 100% would have cashed just based on having Waller and Carr.
Yeah.
I wish I knew how to. I wish you could pull up
breaking news! Waller just scored again on the Jets. Sorry.
Yeah, he went off.
Yeah, be glad we took the penalty at the end of the game where we thought we were going to win because Darren Waller abused our fucking safety again. For whatever reason, they kept the same fucking defense on him the whole game because it worked not once. But at least we tackled him before he scored the third touchdown, and we were like, yes, we're going to win a game. And then we blitzed twice against nobody and
cover zero. So I picked Miami in my suicide pool, and everybody else in the league took Vegas, Minnesota, and Seattle. So I was looking at the first half, and I was like, I'm gonna win, or my wife would win because it's in her name. But she was really close to winning. Now it's down to 11 people because only Seattle lost. I'm looking at two teams real quick before I go into my DFS. I still have the Saints on the road against the Eagles, and I have Tampa Bay home against Minnesota. Those are probably my two best picks. Who would you take? Short answer.
I would not take Minnesota. I would not take Tampa Bay against Minnesota. Excuse me.
Okay.
I would take the Saints.
Saints. Tim?
I don't want to be you. Yeah, sure, the Saints. I would love to see who your other teams are, but
it's not a lot of good ones, man. And when you're this far in,
I can promise that. When do you start picking two?
I don't think you do. I think it just rides, and then if it's a small one, I think if you win the whole thing, you win $2,200. Still $2,200, but
yeah, I bet absolutely.
But yeah, at this point, it looks like it could possibly just be a split. I did look because now I'm looking to see who other people could pick. Only 3 people have picked New Orleans so far, so I think New Orleans is going to be a big pick, and I hate the fact that I'm taking the Saints on the road with Taysom Hill against a quarterback that we really don't know anything about. That scares me. But with my luck, the Eagles will win, and fuck me. Once again.
Like, well, at least you'll know who your quarterback of the future is. I don't know what you're going to do with fucking Carson Wentz the next contract, but
you sit him on the bench, you hand him a clipboard, and you say, "Here you go, buddy." That's highly paid backup.
That's a topic for a different day. But for my DFS lineup, I'm breaking it down to 2 things. Again, I'm going heavy on the highest over-under game of the week, which is Detroit and Green Bay. You look at the defenses of Green Bay and Detroit, and I prefaced it earlier by saying the worst running defense in the NFL is the Detroit Lions. The 3rd worst running defense, based on fantasy points, in the league is Green Bay. The worst, I shouldn't say the worst, the 9th worst, so top 10 worst against quarterbacks are the Detroit Lions. And you have the 7th worst defense against wide receivers being the Detroit Lions. They're just an overall terrible defense, but they seem to handle the tight ends well. So give me Aaron Rodgers starting it off at quarterback for 7,500. Give me the running backs, Aaron Jones and AP at 7,600 and 500. AP isn't going to get
the old man. The old man.
He's a goal line guy. I mean, all he does is score touchdowns.
Absolutely.
So give me him at 5,000. All I'm looking for is a touchdown or 2. Wide receivers, give me Devontae Adams at 9,300 and give me Marvin Jones at 5,800. I'm going to tie them into Nelson Aguilar, who's caught 15 catches in the last 3 games. Heavily involved in the offense now. A big part of the offense. And honestly, let's be real, the play before the Raiders threw the touchdown pass, they had Aguilar wide open to it, and Derek Carr just overthrew him. So he could have had an even bigger game. But Aguilar against Indianapolis looks like the right move to me. The number 1 worst defense in the league against the tight end from a fantasy standpoint is, Tim, the Jets.
A lot of that had to do with last week, pal.
And when Darren goes for 200 yards.
You're probably right. But I don't have a lot of money to spend at this point. So give me Disley, against the Jets at 2,900. I just need a touchdown. That's all I'm looking for. He gets 5 targets a game, it seems like. Give me 2 or 3 catches for 40 yards and a touchdown, and I'm there. For running back in my flex position, this one's a little tough. I took Brian Hill against the Chargers at 4,200. I'm not against the fact. So, Smith seemed to leave last week's game with a head injury. Todd Gurley's trash. He's not playing. I can't see. So Brian Hill's the only healthy running back they have at this point. I'm willing to change this pick, but to make my lineup work, give me Brian Hill at 4,200. And at defense, the Jamal Adams revenge game, give me the Hawks at 3,000 on defense. I think they're going to come out really angry. And unfortunately, the Giants beat them. Or fortunately, if you're a Giants fan, but they're going to take their anger out on those Jets, especially Jamal Adams. So give me the Hawks defense at 3,000. Sir, we'll jump to you.
All right. So at quarterback, I was debating between 2 quarterbacks, Ryan Tannehill and the quarterback I went with, Justin Herbert at 6,800. I think this is going to be a bounce back spot. Listen, last week he looked pretty bad, but Bill Belichick is tough against rookies. Like, he'll make a lot of rookies look that way. And Falcons, they're not the Patriots. They don't have Bill Belichick. So give me Justin Herbert. At running back, as you mentioned, let me get Aaron Jones at 7,600. I've been picking on Detroit's defense in this DFS. Like last week, I picked David Montgomery. He had 111 scrimmage yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, he showed up. Detroit's defense, not good against much. Second running back, I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor, 5,800. Indy, stop messing with Nyheim Hines. Just give Taylor the ball. That's it. Stop messing with this dude. I like the matchup. At receiver, to pair with Herbert, give me cousin Keenan Allen at 7,700. He's like I said last week, New England focus all their attention to stop him. Again, Atlanta's not going to be doing that. Wide receiver 2, give me Corey Davis at 5,700. He balled out last week with all the attention is usually focused on Derrick Henry or A.J. Brown. He had 11 catches for 182 yards and a touch. He's been playing good ball. Wide receiver 3, give me Kiki Kuti at 5K. He stepped up for Will Fuller. I mean, he was balling last week, so I look for that to continue. At tight end, at a little dart throw, give me Cole Kmet 2,900 against Houston. Looks like that tight end job is his to take. You know, they paid Jimmy Graham, I believe, good some money, and he's taken the job over and ran with it. At flex, give me Myles Gaskin at 5,600. For a team that likes to run the ball, he's only 5,600. Like, it's good. It's good value. And the defense, give me the New York Football Giants, 2,600. I'm telling you, Kyler's not 100%, and like they get after this defense gets after it. They have double-digit, or say 2 sacks every game. They get picks. 2,600. It's good value.
That's fair. That's very fair. Tim, what do you got?
Sir, I got mad because after your quarterback, I thought we were going to be sharing some. Hopefully, I thought we were sharing a couple people on the team, but we are not. That is our only person we're sharing. Quarterback Justin Herbert, 6,800 versus Atlanta. You said it. It's a redemption comeback. It had his worst game of his rookie season, but it was against the Patriots. Give me them 6,800 against Atlanta. Atlanta's defense is not the best. I actually paired him with Austin Eckler, who they, I guess, forgot was on their team last week for most of the game at 7K. I put him in the flex. Running back number 1, I'm going with Derrick Henry. Speaking of teams that forgot who was on the team, I don't know how you can fall behind by fucking 20, 30 points and just not give Derrick Henry the ball at any point in that first half.
When you're down like 21 points to 28 points, you're not running the football.
Yeah, I know, but how do you get down that much without giving him the ball?
No, I agree with you. I'm just saying when you get down that much,
that's how Corey Davis goes for $180. Is you're down by fucking 30 points. They're going to give Derrick Henry the ball because Jacksonville cannot fucking cover running back. They can't stop the running back. Derrick Henry
couldn't guard nobody, but
they're gonna force feed Derrick Henry so they don't get fucking down 30 in the first half. That was, for a Tennessee defense that's bad. That was really, really bad. They made Baker look like fucking Aaron Rodgers.
He was cooking.
Yeah, and then the second half, the script flipped and they couldn't do anything on offense, and that's for another day. Running back 2. Give me old man, AP, 5K. Nick, you summed it up perfectly. He's stealing goal line carries, and he's running like a fucking man possessed down there if you saw his touchdown runs from last week. Wide receiver 1, Devontae Adams, 9,300 versus Detroit. Nick, you pretty much summed that up. I'm not going to go too far into it. He's pretty good. Wide receiver 2, I'm going to keep hitting him until it works. It's been working for as cheap as he is. Denzel Mims, my New York Football Jets, 4,100. He's had the targets are there. Now we just need the catches and the yardage to follow. Against Seattle stinks. It's the pass, but the Jets stink all over. So we'll see how that one works out. Wide receiver 3, give me the Swiss Army knife in Chicago, Mr. Cordero Patterson at 3,600 against Houston. They seem to find a way. They're trying to find ways to get him the ball. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter as receiver, running back. Yeah, give him 10 to 12 touches. He's going to find the end zone for you. My tight end, Nick, you went with Disley. I'm going with the other tight end, Jacob Hollister against the Jets. You said it perfectly. The Jets they can't cover anyone. After last week, Darren Waller's a good tight end, right? They made him look like the best tight end in football history. It was embarrassing. They just did not.
Apparently, Waller just scored again too. So
thank you, sir. Appreciate that. And to round my team out, defense, give me the Cincinnati Bengals, 2,300. They fit the rest of the points. They're facing Dallas. Dallas's QB is the Red Rifle Rocket.
Revenge game.
Whoever he is, give me that defense.
So you mentioned one thing on Davante Adams. I just want to make one quick point. So Davante Adams. So forget about the fact that Philadelphia took J.J. Arcega-Whiteside over DK Metcalf. Forget about the fact that they took Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson. A friend of mine messaged me yesterday and let me know that Jordan Matthews was taken 11 picks before Davante Adams. So get this. This is actually pretty interesting. So from 2014 to 2017, Jordan Matthews had 250 catches for 2,955 yards and 20 touchdowns. Davante Adams had 237 catches for 2,811 yards and 26 touchdowns. Now, you can argue Jordan Matthews was the number one receiver on the Eagles, and Davante Adams was probably the number 3 receiver. Well, now let's fast forward to 2018 to 2020. Jordan Matthews, in that time frame, has 24 receptions for 333 yards and 2 touchdowns. Davante Adams, 407 receptions for 3,412 yards and 31 touchdowns.
All right, hold on. I got to defend my boy, Mr. Jordan Matthews. Wait a minute.
Hey, listen, I'm Jordan Matthews too.
Wait a minute, because don't knock my man though. Who was Jordan Matthews' quarterbacks like recently? Wow. Who was Davante Adams' quarterback?
Yeah, but what team is Jordan Matthews playing on?
He was on the Niners for about a ham sandwich in preseason.
I think he's on the Toronto Argonauts now.
He's gonna be the number 1 receiver on our Guardians.
I have his jersey. I'll be ready for it at that point. But yeah, so the Eagles took J.J. Arcega-Whiteside over DK Metcalf. They took Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson, and they took Jordan Matthews over.
I was at the bar, Nick, on Sunday for the games real quick, and I was sitting next to my buddy Jay, who's a big Eagles fan. And I swear to God, I was talking to you.
Exactly. He was saying the same things that you're saying. We could have had this.
Like, the next pick.
I was looking around like, where's Nick? Like,
the next pick, I said, well, maybe we need to have him on the podcast. I'll say the exact same things that you will. Y'all be best friends overnight.
Somebody needs. We'll just say this, and then because we are running long tonight, and we'll get into our parlay picks. But somebody needs to be held accountable for completely fucking up your franchise quarterback. And I put it on. I understand Wentz isn't playing well. I understand he's playing with his face mask down, which usually means he's watching the pass rush instead of what like great quarterbacks do, and they can anticipate, they could feel it, they know what they're doing. He's looking right at it. So, and that was compliments of Boomer Esiason saying it 2 days ago on the radio. But I blame everybody else around him. Like, it's not his fault that he's running for his life. He's got bad ball handling skills. I'll give you that. But he needs like he needs like a new team. He needs like a new something, because when Frank Reich was the offensive coordinator, and of course he, led him to a Super Bowl as offensive coordinator, so, good for him getting a job as a head coach with the Colts. But the offense, he's never been the same since Frank Reich was gone. Obviously, the year that he got hurt in 2017. Whether it be Doug Peterson getting fired, Howie Roseman, putting the skill position players around him that they're putting around him, somebody needs to be fired for his just ruining. Because they're in a position now where they're going to be bad. You look at, Dallas's offense is great. They're only not in it because Dak got hurt. Their defense is not great, but they can address that. Washington's defense is terrifying, and they got a great coach. You got the Giants, who are really well coached and look like they're on the way up. Their defense is playing good. They have good skill position players. Like the Eagles are in for like. All I'm going to say is it's a good thing the Mets are spending money and they're in pretty good shape and seem to be ready to win because I need something to watch and follow and root for while the Eagles are just absolutely trash cans. But they're going to be trash cans for a while, unfortunately, in my opinion.
You just said earlier today, you don't know what Jalen Hurts is. That could be the new savior. He could be BDJ.
To obviously a long lineage of backup quarterbacks, leading them to the promised land, whether it be Jeff Garcia, Michael Vick, Nick Foles, obviously the most recent. We'll see what he is, but this is a perfect segue into our parlay picks because starting off, give me the Saints minus 7.5 against Philadelphia. I'm nervous about this game because we really don't know what Hurts is, but we know what the Saints are, and we know their defense is healthy, and we know their defense is pretty damn good. We know that they have a lot of skill position players that are going to be able to get open. Give me the Saints in that. I'm also taking Houston laying 1 against Chicago. I could see Deshaun Watson looking at, the fact that they took Mitch Trubisky over Deshaun Watson and him looking at this as like a monster revenge game. But I just think they're going to score a ton of points. This could just be wishful thinking because I have Deshaun Watson on my fantasy team in a league where I'm facing in fantasy, playoffs. But I'm taking Houston. And lastly, I know Sir kind of mentioned it earlier, not being confident in the pick, but I think Tampa Bay's running the table on their final 4 games to go 11-5 and possibly face the Giants first round of the playoffs. But I'm taking Tampa Bay minus 6.5. Minnesota's defense is absolutely horrible. And it's not so much that I don't think they could score on Tampa. I don't think they could stop Tampa Bay's offense. I see this being a pretty high-scoring game. I think it could be a high-scoring game. But give me Tampa Bay minus 6.5. I'll make one quick point on this because I was looking at it. You can't put teaser picks in now, but let me know if this teaser bet, 7 games, and I know if Moravik you're watching or you're listening, teasers are a sucker's bet. I get it, but just hear me out on this. 7-point teaser, you got the Patriots plus 12.5 against the Rams. You have Kansas City and a pick'em. I'm not shaking the hand. You got Kansas City and a pick'em against Miami. You got Tampa Bay plus 0.5 point against Minnesota. You have the Seattle Seahawks minus 6.5 against the Jets. You have Green Bay minus 0.5 point against Detroit. You have the New Orleans Saints minus 0.5 point against Philadelphia. And you have the Pittsburgh Steelers plus 9.5 points against Buffalo. 7-point teaser parlay. Looks pretty good to me. I mean, I'm just going to throw that out there.
The fact that you have a bunch of half points in there kills your tie as a loss. So that's the best part of the lines that you put out there for sure.
I agree.
I wouldn't hate if they're putting it in.
I don't know what the odds would be on it yet either because, like I said, you can't put teasers in yet for whatever reason. But, sir, what do you got in your parlay pick?
Well, both our parlays ain't going to hit because my first one, I gave you Minnesota plus 6.5 against Tampa Bay. I don't know. For some reason, like, Tampa Bay wins, but they don't really, like, blow people out as much. Like, I don't know. I see Minnesota keeping this game close. Who knows? Maybe they even steal one. Then, all right, let me get Green Bay minus 7. We talked about it. Detroit, trash. Aaron Rodgers against the division, pretty profitable. So give me Green Bay minus 7 and end it off. Stick, you may want to come back for this one, old boy.
I don't want to.
I got something for you, kid. Give me the Jets plus 13.5 against Seattle. I don't know. Seattle's just not the same team. Before Russ was cooking, I mean, the defense was giving up points like, to us 3, and now Russ ain't cooking as much. So I can see this game. I'm not saying they're just going to win, but you tell me Seattle's got to beat them by two touchdowns? Give me the points.
You're a better man than I, sir, because I'm not touching that game as far as I can throw it. My parlay, I'm going with a whole bunch of over-unders. I seem to be doing better at picking over-unders lately than I have betting against the spread. Shut the hell up, old boy.
I'm just saying, in our little Well, parlay, what happened?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I should have went with my fucking 2 picks I had on the podcast instead of the game that I picked. But
The worst is I told him earlier in the day that the Jets were going to cover. And I told him why I thought the Jets were going to cover. He could have picked his balls.
I could have. I didn't. I could have. Oh, whatever. Sucks to suck, right? My first leg of the parlay, give me the under in the Pats-Rams game on Thursday, under 44.5. We discussed that already. The over, Tennessee and Jacksonville, 2 teams that can't stop anybody from scoring, over 53. And the Colts and the Raiders, over 51.5. Another 2 teams that can't stop anyone but score a whole bunch on offense themselves. That'll pay out plus 604, something around there. Pretty self-explanatory. It's easy for me to say. Explanatory. We don't edit things here.
Nope.
Hey, you never know. The grammar police might roll up in here. No.
Yeah, tell them to go fuck themselves.
I mean, we drink the entire time. I fuck up everything I say, basically. After my shot, I'm just fucking...
SBFS show.
I know that part. SBFSshow.com. No.
Yeah, it only took you, 14 weeks? Hey, you're doing good, sir.
Hey, listen. Guys, thanks for the football portion of the show. We're going to take a quick break, but be back with us because we're going to have Ricky O'Donnell on to talk some NBA futures, and it should be fun, so tune in. All right, guys, welcome back to the second half of the show. Of course, this is Sharp Bets and Fantasy Sets. I'm your host, Nick, and alongside me, as always, Tim and Sir, and we have a special guest to talk NBA hoops. Ricky O'Donnell from SB Nation, the basketball editor. Ricky, how we doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing good. Thanks for jumping on. As always, we talk about trying to win money any way we can in any sports. And, of course, we know, or I should say I know football and the rest of the crew knows football, but they also know a good deal about basketball. So we thought it'd be a great opportunity since we have the NBA season starting, the 22nd?
That's it.
Yep, coming in soon. So back in the bubble, right? I'm assuming?
No bubble. No bubble this year. So that is going to add quite a bit of a huge variable, right? Just in terms of player availability. I think we've already seen that, with the Broncos choosing to play an entire game without having a quarterback, that, team rosters can really be changed at a moment's notice with the pandemic still going strong. So it's definitely a big variable coming into this season.
Yeah, it's true. And are they're gonna do fans or like minimal fans or?
I expect it to be city to city, right? But at the start of the season, there's going to be no fans.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll hit you with the heaviest question first. So we're talking NBA futures, obviously, because there's not a ton of lines on the games. And obviously, we're looking at, first and foremost, the NBA championships. And these lines are presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Obviously, the favorite going into the season is the Lakers plus 275. You have the Clippers and the Bucks, both plus 550. You got the Brooklyn Nets, the new Brooklyn Nets at plus 600. You got the Celtics at plus 1,300, the Heat at plus 1,500, and I'll stop at the Raptors plus 1,800. Any teams obviously ring a bell in terms of who you would be putting your money on this season to try to win some money?
For sure. Just looking at these odds, I think you might have stopped one short. The first team that really jumps out to me is Denver, plus 2,000. And I think, the Nuggets they show that they're a really complete team in the bubble, I think. They have one of the very best players in the entire league in Nikola Jokic, who just seems to be getting better and better, despite the fact that, he has the type of game where he has just looked like a finished product for so long, but he's still a young guy. He's only in his mid-20s. So Jokic, I believe, is truly one of the elite players in the NBA. And you saw that his biggest co-star, Jamal Murray, took a big step up last year in the bubble in the last postseason round. So the Nuggets, obviously, they lost Jeremy Grant to Denver. That's a big loss for them in free agency. He was a key piece. But they have some young guys who I think have some upside. Michael Porter Jr., most notably. I don't know if Porter really qualifies as a winning player at this point in his career, but he's certainly really talented. If they want to trade him, I think he could be a great midseason trade chip. You also got a guy like Bol who maybe has a little bit of upside. There's not too many 7'3" guys in the world who can shoot the rock like he can. They got a decent-looking rookie in R.J. Hampton. So the Nuggets are interesting to me. Like, the big question, I guess, with them is the version of Jamal Murray we saw in the bubble, is that legit? Because, you know, there is something to be said for just, like, the sight lines in the bubble, the fact that you weren't playing in these, like, cavernous gyms, the fact that you had no fans. It really sort of had the feel of, like, a run at Lifetime Fitness or whatever, where, like, one guy just really can't miss. Jamal Murray didn't even average 20 a game in the regular season last year. Gets in the bubble, and he's, like, popping off for 50. So, in terms of, basically entering the season, the Lakers are the strong favorite. And I think it's a fair question to ask who the biggest threat to the Lakers are. And I'm running down the list of teams, and, like, to me, there's just not a ton of great value in some of these other picks. Like, I think the Clippers are probably the second most talented team. The Clippers could do something dramatic to shape up the roster. But to me, like, they did make the switch from Doc to Ty Lue. I think that'll be a positive switch for them. I don't quite know if it's going to get them over the hump, though. Like, we were all waiting for this big Lakers-Clippers showdown last year. Clippers end up blowing a 3-1 lead to the Nuggets in the second round. So they're a little bit questionable to me. They added some decent pieces in Luke Kennard and Serge Ibaka over the offseason, but I thought that, you know, they could have potentially made more moves. They also lost Montrezl Harrell to the Lakers. The Bucks, I feel like, you know, it's like such a sad story almost that they just like couldn't do enough. They almost had Bogdanovich, which I would have really liked next to Drew Holiday. I think Drew Holiday's better than anyone they had in the backcourt last year. They gave up a king's ransom to get him, especially when you factor in that Giannis might leave and those draft picks could really be worth something. But I feel like not getting Bogdanovich is really going to hurt them. I would have fired Budenholzer, so I'm not taking the Bucks there. And then, like, the Nets, I'm just selling on the Nets. They might end up being awesome, but those odds are just not friendly enough. Durant is in his 30s, coming off a super scary injury. I know Kyrie's actually had, you know, obviously he's an NBA Finals hero for his work with the Cavs, but something about the way he ended his tenure in Boston still leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I like Kyrie in general, but I don't know if I really want to bet on a Kyrie Durant team going all the way, you know, their first year playing together. So, you know, as you go down the list, like Boston's got Kemba Walker injuries. The Heat are awesome, no doubt, but they lost Jay Crowder. Also, are the Heat really going to do that again? That was kind of like a totally stunning run, in my opinion. So give me Denver. I'm liking Denver plus 2,000. I think if you're looking for the best value play on the board, that's it. I'll give you one more, and that's Philly. You get Philly at plus 2,000 right now. And the thought here is, like, what if they trade for James Harden? If you get James Harden on that team, who knows? Like, Morey obviously immediately deduced the problem with the team, right? Like, the previous Sixers front office was just sort of doubling down on the roster construction issues they have. Morey comes in and immediately is just like, I don't really care about value in a vacuum. I'm just going to make trades that are going to help the team. Gets Seth Curry, who's going to be a great fit for them. Gets Danny Green, who I think that was like a nice buy low option for them to get Danny Green. He's still, you know, a respected shooter, smart player, been there before. So I kind of like Philly too, in addition to Denver, if you're looking for like long shot plays. But I mean, entering this season, man, the Lakers are a heavy favorite, and I would be really surprised if a non-Lakers team wins the title.
Sir, what do you think? I was looking, I guess, when I screenshot, and of course, you normally wear your 49ers stuff, but I know you knew we had Ricky O'Donnell on, so you wore your Colts hat. I can't find their odds anywhere.
I have it. Great value. Plus 20,000. Chicago Bulls to win the chip. We're back, baby. No, seriousness, though. But as you said, like, some of the points I agree with, like Jamal Murray, he balled out. And they have a good home court advantage in the altitude. You know, opposing teams come up there. But the value I went with was, you said you're not high on them? Give me the Brooklyn Nets at plus 600. I'm saying they had a deep team last year. As you said, it's gonna be an interesting season. And you're getting KD back? I trust KD. I think because he almost came back last year. They were saying that he was healthy enough to come, but he took some more time. You know, with Karis LeVert and, the boys. I like the value at plus 600. Another team, the Dallas Mavericks with Luka Doncic at plus 2,200. It's another team that I would look at. Also, plus 3,000 the Warriors with Steph Curry getting back. We'll see what Wiseman can do. Draymond Green. It sucks losing Clay, but they still got the heart of a champion.
Tim, what do you think?
Well, Nick, as well as anyone that with your baseball futures, all they have to do is make the playoffs, and you can hedge against yourself with whatever odds that these championship teams have. So, that's not going to stop me from betting whatever money I have in my account on the Lakers. I just don't see another team that, arguably the two best players in the league are on the same team. And unless one of those guys gets hurt, just like last year, I don't see another team that's going to come anywhere close to stopping them. And, arguably they got better than they were last year when they won everything. So give me the Lakers, give me plus 275. And then in the East, I can see Boston coming out of nowhere. Yeah, I know Kemba's hurt and he's not going to play until a couple weeks into the season, but that doesn't really bother me. Jason Tatum is going to make leaps and bounds this year. He could be, I don't know how they construct their most improved or not, but he could be a top 10 player in the league as long as he improves on what he did last year. And they got Jaylen Brown too. They got a deep team and they can make some damage in the East.
Well, we are obviously New York, New Jersey area, at least the three of us are. So I wanted to touch on just a little bit on the over-unders on the win percentages of both hometown teams. So obviously we have the Knicks. The over-under is at 30.5 at minus 114 for win percentage. So where are you looking on the Knicks? I know obviously not the best of situations, but over-under on a winning percentage of 30.5.
Now,
So
go ahead. If we did quick math, that's winning percentage. That's not games won.
It says winning percentage.
That would be like them winning 25 games.
in a normal year or in the 72-game season?
I guess it's based on the upcoming season. However,
Yeah.
they're playing 72, so that would be.
Okay,
Well,
then it's less than that. I did it based on 82.
Well, I've watched Tom Thibodeau work a lot of magic with some absolutely trash rosters, really. I mean, the way he was able to turn some of those late period Bulls teams into perennial 50-win teams, even though, they were signing Nate Robinson and DJ Augustine and guys who were almost out of the league at the point where Thibodeau got them, leads me to think that Thibodeau could probably work some magic. However, looking at this Knicks roster, it's just not any good. I just don't know who is their offensive initiator. Who is setting the tone for that team in the half court in terms of, running their pick and rolls, running their isolations. You saw RJ Barrett get his shot at it last year. It wasn't very good. A young player, I think he has a bright future, no doubt, but that's a big burden in terms of playmaking responsibilities to put on his plate. I like Obi Toppin, but Toppin, while I do think he can be a absolutely dynamic scorer, it's hard for me to see him as a winning player because he sort of takes away as much as he brings in terms of being a defensive liability. So I don't know. My first instinct is to always take the over. Thibodeau will beat whatever those projections are, but I guess it just depends. I guess 30% of their games, that's really not that many. But then you look around the rest of the league, and there's just not a lot of teams that the Knicks are better than, or that they're going to have a talent advantage against. I guess you can say they're going to beat the Cavs, or they could probably beat the Timberwolves. But in most of these games, it's going to be tough. I assume that Knicks over/under is one of the absolute lowest of any on the board.
Yep.
So you know what? I'll take the over. I don't know. I could go either way on that one, but Tommy Tibbs, still my boy. So I guess I'll go with the over on that one.
Tim, care to retort?
No, I'm with them. I was going to take the over when I had to win more games than now that they need to. They got Obi Toppin, the rookie. He said everything that you want to hear as a Knicks fan in his post-draft interview. You have RJ Barrett coming back second year. Yeah, unfortunately, we picked number 3 last year in a 2-horse race as the guys that were ready to take over a franchise, unfortunately. But last year we did see some good things. Julius Randle played really well. I mean, I'm not sure he's somebody who's going to take over a game outside of against pretty bad teams. But he could put up, 18 points, 9 boards. That's a decent enough, stat line. And they're playing in the East, and the East is weak. So, give me the over, and plus 1,400 for them to make the playoffs. So I actually, throw $10 on that, and go for a ride. I don't know.
All right.
Looking at it now, the Knicks won 32% of their games last year. And they had league worst coaching, basically. So,
Do you think the coaching is the reason why that the rating is what it is right now? Because, like you said, they did it last year. So for them to come in a little bit lower, what do you think's the factor as to why they'd be at 30.5? Why they'd be rated at that?
well, they lost some guys, right? Like last year, they had Marcus Morris at the start of the season. They ended up trading him to the Clippers. They lost Bobby Portis. They didn't really make any notable additions to the roster, right? They got Alfred Payton. So it's mostly the same roster that wasn't very good last year. So I think that, the Knicks will probably be one of the worst teams in the league. I'm a Bulls fan. I'm, looking at the Bulls schedule being like, damn, there's not many teams the Bulls are better than. Well, they are better than the Knicks, but there's not many beyond that.
Although they generally play the Knicks terribly, for some reason. Whenever they play head up, for some reason, the Bulls always catch the L. I don't know why, but...
Dude, you could just count on Bobby Portis hitting 7 pick-and-pop threes in those matchups. But, yeah, absolutely.
So for obviously the other New York team, the Nets at 62.5, obviously much higher. Sir, you have them as a heavy favorite to win the entire thing. So I'm guessing you're betting the over on 62.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So KD and Kyrie, I think they didn't play last season, and they still made the playoffs. And now you're adding two, Kyrie's a star. I would say KD's a superstar. I like their odds. I think they're going to meet expectations.
Ricky, what do you think?
So it's 62% winning percentage?
62.5 winning percentage.
So I'm looking at it right now, and last year the Pacers were 61.5. The Rockets were 61. A team like Denver won 63. So it's an interesting line. I would go under on that.
Okay.
Do I feel super confident in it? No. But here's the thing, Brooklyn, they got a first-year head coach in Steve Nash. Yes, they have Mike D'Antoni on the bench, so maybe D'Antoni will really, take on more responsibility than an assistant coach typically does. But you saw Kyrie's comments. I'm pro Kyrie, so I don't want to bag on him too much. But you saw Kyrie's comments when they hired Nash, and he was basically yeah, well, someday I'll be the coach, and someday Nash will be the coach, and someday Jacques Vaughn will be the. So I just don't know about where that team is at exactly. I think that someone like Spencer Dinwiddie's awesome. I think Spencer Dinwiddie is a great player, but what you need is guys who sort of fit together. And to me, they got a lot of guys who need the ball. They don't have a lot of guys who impact the game without the ball and can do a lot of the little things. I really like Jared Allen on that team as a center who is just a rim runner, rim protector, pogo stick guy. But KD and Kyrie wanted DeAndre Jordan there. And so, what does the DeAndre Jordan, Jared Allen relationship look like in terms of playing time? I thought, last year Atkinson seemed like a pretty good coach. Obviously, he's gone now, so you're going to have Nash, and like I said, you got D'Antoni. But there's question marks there. I would go under. I might be wrong, but just given the severity of the injury KD's coming back from, and given the fact that, to me, Karis LeVert, everyone likes Karis LeVert, right? He's getting a lot of pub right now. He might be the centerpiece of a James Harden deal. And that's, I guess, another thing we need to talk about. What if they get James Harden? Now the over has more likely chance to hit, probably, right? Yeah. Or that championship bet has a more likely chance to hit. But LeVert, to me, is not as good as everyone thinks he is. And I've been a huge fan of his game since he was at Michigan. I always really liked watching him at Michigan. In that draft, he was one of my guys. But it's like, how does he impact the game when he doesn't have the ball in his hands? And he's not going to have the ball in his hands playing next to KD and Kyrie. So I would sell on the Nets. Give me the under on that. But,
right.
I mean, I think that, you guys make some convincing points and why they could be a good upside bet.
Another good piece was Joe Harris. I mean, all that brother did was hit threes. Like, he get the ball in his hands and just keep consistently hitting 3-pointers. Like, I'm pretty sure his percentage was one of the top in the league last year.
Tim, what do you think?
So the only thing I think that would really stop them from hitting the over on the winning percentages, there's something to say about people coming back from injuries and just pure rust and not being used to game speed and things like that. I could see them getting off to a very slow start and then second half of the season start turning it on. And all they got to do is make the playoffs in the East. And I don't see how seeding makes that big of a difference. Yeah, maybe it will now, but if there's no fans there, I think it's going to be just like it is in the bubble and not really that much effect. Even though you are traveling a little bit more, I see it's similar to football where it doesn't make that much of a difference whether the team is quote unquote the home team. So I'm going to lean towards the under too, but to me it's more of a toss, a 50-50 bet.
One last point I'll make on this. What I worry about them looking at their roster now is their defense. Like, Durant was awesome at defense before the injury. Durant is 7 feet tall, and he's one of the greatest shooters of all time. So I think, he's still going to be pretty damn good on offense. There is certainly a difference between being the best player alive or the second best player alive and, the 12th best player alive if his play falls down a little bit. But defensively, I don't know, is Durant going to be able to give 100% effort defensively coming off an Achilles at 31? And then you look at the rest of this team defensively. Kyrie's not good defensively. Karis LeVert's not good defensively. Joe Harris isn't good defensively. Like I said, I like Jared Allen, but I worry on their defense a little bit. So what do I know? I think they do have some sneaky upside maybe to win it all. But I'm going to go under on the regular season.
They didn't hire Steve Nash and Mike D'Antoni to play defense. So.
D'Antoni doesn't coach defense. I'm saying that, I don't know if he knows what defense is. He's like, hey, let's put up 150 points. If we give up 140, we still win.
D'Antoni's version of defense is they get 2, we get 3. Gotta love it.
Well, I want to transition over to the MVP race, and obviously I am the least educated when it comes to basketball, although I will humble brag that I won the only fantasy basketball league I was ever in. Shout out to Gilbert Arenas for that. But
Abachi.
So I'm a common basketball fan. I know some of the names I could follow. I mean, I listen to sports radio, but I'm looking at LeBron James at plus 900. I mean, for a common fan who sees one of the biggest names in all of sports at plus 900, and am I an idiot for thinking that there's a possibility that he can win at plus 900?
The thing with LeBron, at least to me, is AD's at plus 800, and they're on the same team. So some games I see AD would go off. Another day, LeBron might go off. So I think that's going to take away some of LeBron's votes, MVP votes.
Okay.
I was going to say LeBron's not even the best player on his own team.
Okay.
It's interesting. So LeBron hasn't won an MVP in 8 years. The entire time he's been the best player in the league, though. Everyone pretty much acknowledges that. For a while, there was fatigue in giving LeBron the award. We just didn't want to give it to him. It got boring. But now it's almost especially after Giannis won it last year and then just flamed out in the playoffs in the second round, now it's kind of we might give LeBron a makeup call, I kind of think. So that's interesting. Maybe LeBron gets a makeup call from the media to win MVP. Wouldn't that be a strange story after they basically decided they just weren't going to give him the MVP, even though he was the best player for so many years? But the other factor is that the Lakers are coming off a really deep championship run. They just had the shortest off season in NBA history. LeBron is turning, 37, 36 this year? So LeBron's old, man. I mean, he's incredible. He will turn it up in the playoffs, but can he give consistent night-to-night effort to really win the MVP? I don't know. But I do think there's a chance that if the Lakers are the best team, and if LeBron, even if like LeBron last year led the league in assists per game, I think he could like do that again easily. And even if his scoring drops a little bit, he can, he's still going to average 20, mid-20s just without even trying. So I actually think that's a sneaky bet based on narrative alone. However, what's his availability going to be coming off the long title round? So that's how I would deduce that.
Turning 36 on December 30th, actually, born in 1984. As we look at this list, I'll give you guys some time to pull it up if you don't have it up. But Tim, what's your early bet on MVP?
That's funny because I have written down Anthony Davis plus 800. And, call me a sucker. I believe he is the best player on that Lakers team. LeBron is old by, NBA years. Just he's been in the league for almost longer than he's been alive, it seems. Shows how amazing of a person that he is, that he's been doing it for so long and at the highest skill level. But give me Anthony Davis and he's the most complete basketball player I think in the NBA. Playing alongside LeBron James has its perks for sure. He makes it easier. They can't focus directly on him the whole time. How many games and how many minutes LeBron's going to play this year, it's up in question. But Anthony Davis is going to be there, and plus 800, you could do worse for your money.
Sure.
I don't know. To me, I kind of like KD at plus 2,000. I mean,
You're just going to pick on Nets the whole time.
It's everybody's had a short off season. KD's been sitting up for a year, so he's had a great off season. I said at plus 2,000, you're probably getting.
I was just about to say at plus 2,000.
Plus 2,000, you probably get maybe the second best player in the league. That's great odds. A couple other picks I had was I like Devin Booker also at plus 2,500. He balled out last year in the bubble. Absolutely put the team on his back. And they got CP3. So now he doesn't have to have the ball in his hands as much. CP3 can set him up, get so plus 2,500. And Zion Williamson at plus 8,000. If he can stay healthy, you know what I'm saying? The brother was a monster. And he was they were, hyping him up. So plus 8,000, that's great value.
Sir, I did have a note. I had, for most improved, I had Zion at plus 2,500. There was talks about him saying that he was playing really nervous this first year. He didn't want to make any mistakes, and he's realizing that in itself is a mistake, and he should just play and not worry about certain things or injuries or whatever gets into a young kid's head during an NBA season. So him at 2,500 for most improved, I would put money on that for sure.
Ricky, I know I kind of baited you a little bit with the LeBron pick, but who would your pick be in MVP?
I was going to mention Devin Booker. I think that Sir broke it down perfectly there, where Booker just totally balled out in the bubble. He's got CP3. Suns haven't made the playoffs in 10 years or more than that, maybe.
They've been bad.
They're going to make the playoffs this year. They're damn good. And you got some teams like Houston going down, OKC obviously is going to drop all the way to the bottom of the standing. So I think that's a good one. But if Sir is going to stick with the Nets and Kevin Durant, I guess I'm going to ride the Nuggets. Give me Jokic. Plus 2,000. I think Jokic is kind of the most forgotten great player in the league, I think, because he just looks like the Pillsbury Doughboy out there. You're like, how could this guy possibly be good? But the thing is that he raises his level of competition every year. He looks totally out of shape, but he still busts guys' ass up and down the court. And I think he's got a little extra swagger now coming off, that 3-1 comeback of the Clippers. That's the type of thing that sort of elevates someone's star in the league. And I think Jokic is a total stud. If you want a comparison for him, I'm thinking Dirk. And Dirk won an MVP, and he won a title. So it's going to be like, obviously there's only one MVP every year, and there's only one title every year. It's going to be really hard to win that award. But I do think Jokic has the skill to do it. So I'll ride with him, I guess. I also like the Devin Booker bet. And if you want the YOLO pick, give me Trae Young. Trae Young is plus 6,000. Trae Young basically averaged, I think, 30 and 10 last year for a team that absolutely sucked in the Hawks. Hawks go out and they improve their team more than anyone else in the league this offseason. They signed Gallinari. They drafted my boy Okongwu, who I think is going to be really good. They got Bogdanovich. They just have like two lines of teams. Like they could run the old John Calipari platoon system basically with Trae Young as the only constant. Trae Young doesn't play any defense, but guess what? No one's getting the MVP award for defense. So if they go way up the standings, and if Trae Young averages like 35 or something and 12 assists, why not? So that's my YOLO pick, Trae Young. Hawks could really shoot up the standings, and Trae's going to be the engine.
I must say, I actually like Jokic, especially in DFS, because he does stat stuff. It's like he gets boards, he gets assists, he puts up points. And a lot of times he looks bored playing. He's just like, he has a ball in his hands. He's just kind of like doing his own thing, but he puts up numbers. There's no denying that.
He does have that Dirk step back jumper. That's his off the wrong foot fade away. That Dirk comparison's on point for sure.
And here's my other thing with Jokic. Watching the bubble last year, I think Jokic is the best post scorer in the league. The only other guy I would say is maybe there is Embiid. And then Anthony Davis is awesome, but I feel like Davis is less of a back-to-the-basket player. He's more of like a roll man and a face-up guy. He's going to attack you sort of like a wing, like a big wing. So Jokic is the best back-to-the-basket guy. He's also the best passing center ever. So when you double him, he's just whipping the ball all around the court. It's kind of like a pick-your-poison, unstoppable combination of the best back-to-the-basket scorer also being like a truly historic all-time passer. So it would require some good fortune, obviously, for him to ever win an MVP. But, in a year, like, here's the scenario where it happens. Like, the Lakers just don't care about the regular season because they just won the title. They're probably going to win the title again, but they don't really need to go all out during the regular season. But Denver kind of wants to prove that it's legit. So Denver gets the number 1 seed. Jokic is the best player. He puts up, a little better numbers than he's put up the last few years when he's been awesome. And maybe they give it to him. I don't know. That's the scenario in which I could see it.
We'll segue over to Rookie of the Year. You had mentioned Okongwu, for Atlanta, I believe you said, plus 2,500. Where are we looking at Rookie of the Year? Who do you think is the best option there?
Would not take Okongwu for Rookie of the Year because they have a Clint Capella ahead of him. Also, Okongwu is one of those guys who is more impactful than he is just like points per game and stuff. Mm-hmm. And normally you get these awards based on points per game, I feel like. So I wouldn't go with Okongwu there. I like Devin Vassell. That one jumps out to me at plus 5,000. I think he's ready to go right away. I do think that he's kind of going to be a low-volume offensive guy, though, so I don't know if his counting stats are going to be high. I'm just kind of talking this out. I don't really have a definitive pick yet. But Tyrese Halliburton at plus 1,500, I think he got just a perfect pairing for his skill set in Sacramento. Tyrese Halliburton is a really good spot-up shooter. He's a great passer. What Tyrese Halliburton can't do is like break down the defense and finish at the rim. But he's got De'Aaron Fox next to him. So I think like him and Fox complement each other really well, where, they have totally opposite strengths. They can cover up each other's shortcomings. But the problem is the Kings just always suck. And they also have Buddy Hield there at the 2 guard. So it's like, how much is Halliburton really going to play? But I do like Halliburton because he should be like ready to produce, I think, too. He stayed 2 years at Iowa State. I think he could be pretty good. So I'll name him. 2 other names I'm going to throw out here. Cole Anthony, plus 4,000. Cole Anthony was the number 2 high school recruit in the country, New York kid. He got just the absolute worst situation possible at North Carolina. Like, you commit to a blue blood so they make you look good. Problem was Carolina lost like all 5 starters from the year before. They end up just getting a bunch of grad transfers who were just like, low major guys who basically totally sucked. Cole Anthony tears his meniscus early in the season around Thanksgiving. I think he's better than he showed at North Carolina. He's going to a team in Orlando that is like consistently the 7th seed or the 8th seed. They got Markelle Fultz there at point guard. I think that Cole Anthony's skill set is, once again, the exact opposite of Markelle Fultz's. Like, he can actually shoot off the dribble. He can give him a dimension they didn't have. He also just has some, like, built-in brand recognition, I think, from his high school mixtape days. So I kind of like Cole Anthony there. And then the one other guy I'll say is Tyrese Maxey. I do sort of like what the Sixers are doing. I think Maxey is awesome. He's not a pure point guard, and that's why he slipped in the draft. But to me, he was one of the 10 best players in the draft. I couldn't believe he slipped till 21. They also have a good setup with him there. So, like, Maxey is not like your traditional floor general who's going to, like, be a great facilitator. What he is just an awesome scorer. And he's a really good finisher. He's not a great shooter yet, but I do trust that he can improve as a shooter because he was a great free throw shooter. So I think that Maxey playing off Ben Simmons is kind of like this rim attacking guard who can also like make highlight plays defensively, score in transition. I think he's going to have some scoring ability from day one. So Maxey at plus 4,000 I like as well.
So what do you got? Rookie of the year.
So I was looking at it. I was like LaMelo Ball at plus 400 could put up some numbers. James Wiseman at plus 600. But I was like, Patrick Williams at plus 2,200. As a Bulls fan, I hope they get this pick right because, like, it's been a rough couple of years for being a Bulls fan. So I just hope that they get a pick right finally.
Sir, how mad were you at draft day about the Bulls pick?
You know what? Honestly,
Scale
it was bad because we were watching the draft, and they were like, oh, they won the 6th man in college. So he wasn't even a starter in college, and yet you take him 4th or 3rd overall. So, hey, maybe they know something. Maybe Billy Donovan knows something that I don't know. So,
sorry, sir. Anyway,
all right, hey man.
Hey, I'm gonna go with James Wiseman at 600, center for Golden State. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better scenario to put yourself in around Steph Curry and those cats out there.
Draymond Green and them.
Yeah, Draymond Green. Yeah, at plus 600. Yeah, I think the counting stats alone, and playing time gives him a good chance to win. I don't know much about him, to tell you the truth, but at plus 600, just speaking from the numbers, I think that's a decent bet.
All right. And we'll close out with the 6th man of the year. Lot of names.
That's your boy, right? That's 6th man of the year? Oh, that's college.
Yeah, he's not on here.
Hey, he might go back to back. No,
Ricky, we'll kick it off with you first on the 6th man. What are you looking at? What names stick out for you?
Yeah, man. I don't know. This is always an interesting award because the lineups change, and you're like, are these guys even going to be the 6th man?
Yeah.
Because, any guy you're going to bet on is going to be good enough to start. So I don't know. Some interesting names here. First name that jumps out is probably Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero, he proved himself in the bubble. He was actually really good during the regular season, too, before they even got to the bubble. Jimmy Butler loves him. Miami should be very good again. Miami's going to win a lot of regular season games because of the intensity with which they approach every game. So they're not going to be taking games off or games for granted. So I think that could be one. Also, we should mention Montrezl Harrell. He's going to the Lakers. He's not going to start, but life is just easy when you play with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. He was a consistent contender for 6th man. If he hasn't won one, I'm not even sure if he has, but consistent contender before. So he should be able to, I think, put up some big numbers. And I would also want to see, just give me a full long list. 6th man, I feel like, is where you take your YOLO bets because who really knows who's even going to qualify for this award at this point, especially in the COVID season when like there's going to be so much attrition, unfortunately, I think. So, yeah, those are a couple names, though. I think that Harold could be a good bet, and I'm also liking Tyler Hero.
Sir, Tim?
Well, I'm gonna piggyback on Sir with his love of the Nets. Give me Dinwiddie at plus 1,000. He had a great season last year as a starter, and you're telling me that he's going to come off the bench and he can produce numbers off the bench just as well. So plus 1,000. I can't say that he's going to stay on the bench the whole season, but for right now, if you're telling me I can get him for 1,000 as a six man, I guess I'll go with that.
Another name, I mean, he's probably the favorite, but man, Lou Williams, like, if all he does is he come off the bench and drops 25. Like, that's what he does.
All right. Anything else you guys want to touch on when it comes to the futures of the NBA season?
The one thing I was looking at is, as the Phoenix thing is most improved, give me DeAndre Ayton. I like that plus 1,500.
For most improved?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, because, like, let's see, with CP and Booker controlling the ball, Ayton could just get boards, block some shots, get some putbacks. Like, I like this game last year.
Okay.
Yeah, life should be easy for DeAndre Ayton. He's got CP3, so I imagine CP3 just constantly yelling at him. So I kind of feel bad for DeAndre Ayton, but he should also get a lot of open lobs. So
Exactly, yeah.
yeah, that's not a bad bet. I'm looking at the history of the guys who have won that award. I was going to say, like, would a guy who went number 1 overall really win that award? But last year, Brandon Ingram won it. He went number 2 overall. 2 years before that, Oladipo won it. He went number 2 overall. So yeah, probably possible. Most improved, that's another one where it's like, who
YOLO bets, man.
who knows? So just cast a wide net on that one. I would say.
I like the term YOLO bets. I'm gonna start using that.
The whole season have been fucking YOLO bets.
This is true. It's been a tough season for betting, that's for sure, in terms of just predictability on a year that's been pretty unpredictable. So, but Ricky, we want to thank you one more time for jumping on. We'd love to have you back in the middle of the season or something to break down more. But let everybody know where to find you out there on the internet.
Cool. You can find all my work at sbnation.com. I have a Bulls podcast, so that's called Cash Considerations. It's the Bulls podcast for the fans who hate the Bulls. So that's how we market it. And yeah, I'm always doing a bunch of different stuff. So you can follow me on Twitter too at SBN_Ricky.
As a Bulls fan, are you happy with the Donovan signing?
It's like Boylan was so terrible that it's a really low bar to clear to be better than Jim Boylan.
Sure.
Donovan, to me, like when I was watching OKC from afar, I never thought Donovan was a good coach, to be honest. But he should at least be an average coach, and an average coach would be a massive improvement for the Bulls. But, the Bulls made no additions to the roster or no subtractions this year, so they're kind of just like holding steady. I think the Bulls are going to have to pick a lane in terms of either like trade Levine and get some assets similar to what the Pelicans did with Drew Holiday. Like if a team is offering you a bunch of first rounders and pick swaps, that could be a good move for the Bulls. What are they going to do with Markkanen? They just drafted a guy at his position in Patrick Williams. Markkanen, I think, has been a pretty big disappointment, especially last season. But, you think with a new coach, a new system, maybe Markkanen can improve. But also the Bulls have no point guards. Like Kobe White's going to start at point guard for them, and he averaged per 36 last year, under 4 assists. So they don't really have like a natural floor general. Kobe White's a good scorer, microwave scoring option, no doubt, Lou Williams type maybe. But is he going to like be getting Markkanen the ball in positions where he can really utilize his scoring ability? I don't know. So I think the Bulls are going to have a very long rebuild in front of them, unfortunately. But if nothing else, Garpax is not in power anymore. And
see you later. I'm with you.
Hang the banner for that
new
one,
coach,
man.
new front office.
Hang the banner.
It can't be worse. They can't get any worse, bro.
And as a Bears fan, I feel like I've learned this lesson over the last couple of years. The worst thing you can have in terms of fandom is expectations. The Bulls literally couldn't disappoint me this year because I have no expectations of them. They did nothing to a roster that sucked. So it's just like a fresh start, fresh regime. Unlike a year ago when I was expecting the Bears to go to the Super Bowl, they end up going 8-8. And now they suck and need to fire everyone. But should be a low stakes year at least for the Bulls.
Well, since I have you, and you mentioned you're a Bears fan, I'll ask you one question on footballs before we wrap up. You got Houston laying 1 point against Chicago in Chicago. What are you thinking in terms of that game?
I mean, the Bears got to be due for a win at some point, right? I mean, they've lost 6 in a row. Everyone in the building deserves to absolutely get fired after they just blew that game to the Lions. But the Bears aren't like totally horrible. I know that the Texans, they also blew a very winnable game last week too, right? But
yeah,
I mean, are we really gonna? How can I bet on the Bears when it's Mitch Trubisky versus Deshaun Watson? It's like Watson,
Money Mitch.
Watson from the moment that Mitch got drafted in front of him probably put Mitch's face on a dartboard and was like, I literally can't believe they drafted this loser over me. How could this possibly happen? Well, that's the Chicago Bears for you. So I would take Houston -1 or whatever. Like, I got to see the Bears win a game before I believe it can happen. And yes, the Bears started 5-1, but they should have lost like 3 or 4 of those games. There were some miracle comebacks there. The Bears are bad. I think they've given up on Nagy. I think that at this point there's not really much to play for as a team. It's just sort of like individual. The guys are playing for themselves, for their jobs. And the defense, which was supposed to be very good, just looked like trash recently. So give me Houston. Maybe I should place my first actual sports wager betting against the Bears this week because they just got so many bad vibes on that team right now.
I guarantee you, if you bet Houston, the Bears will win. So
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
Superstitious, go ahead.
It's funny you mentioned the narrative of Watson, obviously being taken after, because that's the exact reason, bullet point number 1 as to why I took Houston laying 1 point against Chicago. And obviously being an Eagles fan, I love Nick Foles, but he's not a factor in this. It's Money Mitch. And you think Nagy's getting fired at the end of the year? And then we'll let you go. I'm sorry we keep peppering you with questions.
No, it's cool. I can talk shit about Matt Nagy all day. I think he's got to get fired. He has to get fired. Like, what's really depressing about the Bears is like they had this like build up where they traded for Mac. They invested so much in the team in terms of like extending guys. Mac obviously makes such a significant portion of the salary cap. And they had it basically for this window where if Trubisky was good on the rookie scale contract, they put all their resources in the other parts of the team and maybe they could do something. And they were great. In 18, they had the double doing. You don't need to remind me about it. I'm looking at that Eagles hat, and I'm thinking about Cody Parkey.
Yeah.
But they were just totally unable to sustain it, right? Like last year, they were average as hell. And this year, they suck. So, yeah, dude, like, I like to think of contention as a bell curve. And their arrow is pointing way down. You lose 6 in a row. If you're 5-1 and now you're, 5-7 or something? They suck, dude. They got to fire everyone. Get a new GM. Let him pick a new head coach. Let the new GM take another quarterback because I've seen Ryan Pace draft Mitch Trubisky over Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. I've seen Ryan Pace give Mike Glennon $18 million a year. And I saw Ryan Pace take Foles, who he's not terrible, but it's like, I've seen a lot of bad Bears quarterbacks in my lifetime. And Nick Foles looks like all of them from what I've seen so far. So
as a Niner fan, I'd like to thank you guys for trading up to get Mr. Trubisky. Thank you very much for those added picks.
Yeah, man, those are the type of mistakes that you just can't really overcome. So I think they need to fire Ryan Pace, who's the GM. I think they need to fire Nagy, and I think that hopefully they can start flipping some of these guys. Like Akeem Hicks is awesome. Does anyone want Akeem Hicks? He's 31 years old. I don't know what kind of trade value you can get for him. But if I'm the Bears, I'm totally tearing this thing down because there's no point in holding on to it. It's a sinking ship. There's no upside. Even if they would have been as good as they could have been in their best case scenario, they wouldn't have the upside to win the Super Bowl. So I think you got to tear it down. That's just my 2 cents.
We'll give you Carson Wentz and a 2 for Khalil Mack and Nick Foles back.
Man, their contracts might match up at least.
Oh my God, we'll definitely talk Nick Foles stuff or Carson Wentz stuff later. But Guys, as always, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate Ricky. Tim, sir, thanks for joining us, and good luck, everybody, in your bets.